Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and today we will be tackling Megaguirus, one of the wildest of all monsters out there. She possesses a great 6 out of 8 attack, 4 out of 8 defense, incredible speed, 8 out of 8, which, if you recall, only Rodan has matched, and a paltry 1 out of 8 for weapons, but this is a bit misleading because of Megaguirus' primary gimmick. But before we get to that, take note that Megaguirus inflicts sharp, blunt, and alien energy type attacks. She resists poison and explosives, but is weak to radiation. She is also our first floating monster, which means she is completely immune to all manner of low attacks. True lows cannot hit her unless she decides to crouch block, which seems a little bit silly to me. We're going to start in Tokyo, and then we're going to discuss Megaguirus' capabilities and unusual approach to combat. Now, one thing to note about floating monsters like Megaguirus is that they can stay elevated as well, meaning that they can effectively be immune to most forms of attack for a sizable period of time. But while you're up in the air like this, you can't block. Also, conveniently, we get Rage. Megaguirus' Rage attack is Megaguirus Swarm, which drains and stuns enemies of their energy. Well, drains enemies of their energy and stuns them. Really useful and pretty good for slowing down monsters that rely heavily on ranged attacks. Next, we're going to take a look at her signature ability, which can only be used once per fight, and as far as I'm aware, there's no way to regain it. Inertialess Flight, or as I like to call it, Sugar Rush Mode. With Sugar Rush mode on, you become super annoying. As you can see. Once you come down from the Sugar Rush, though, there's no getting it back. Now, let's talk about punch attacks. Megaguirus' quick punch combo ends with a fairly slow rising and falling attack, which does not correspond to any punch attacks in Megaguirus' arsenal, so it's probably a kick. Down punch is a double strike that can knock enemies back on hit. Okay, let me set up Megaguirus Swarm. Forward punch is a low trip, and back punch is an overhead swipe. And finally, you have the backhand uppercut, which is a blunt attack, so I think the idea is to launch opponents, but Orga might have immunity issues. When you grab opponents and throw them, you'll notice that it wasn't a regular throw. I took some energy, and took 1 cell of energy and just kind of dropped it. What gives? That is something that we will talk about later, but suffice it to say, Megaguirus is the game's mimic character. Next, let's take a look at Jumping Punch real quick. Ow. Which seems either it's really weak or it's just doing it's doing a really weak blunt damage, so it must stagger most opponents. Let's just finish off with the punches.
KO. Megaguirus is won. You win.
And then play again with kicks and the like.
Monster.
Kick attacks for Megaguirus are mostly head-based. Double wing strike. Ow. That doesn't really do much to Orga, but can stagger opponents. But it goes into uppercut when you change it into punch. You'll notice that I got an energy cell earlier. Once we get to fierce attacks, I'll explain what that's about. Up fierce is the ender for the punch string. Oh, by the way, punch, kick is the overhead swipe. Forward is a corkscrew strike, which occasionally grants you energy, but it all depends on what part of Megaguirus hits the opponent. Down and kick is not an attack, but a loop, allowing Megaguirus to slip away from most options. She's a very evasive monster. If you sense an attack coming, just go for this. Back kick? There we go. Back kick is a delayed rising attack that knocks enemies upwards. So let's try this. There we go. I'm going to use the Rage power-up this time to demonstrate how these attacks, I believe, are supposed to work. And then finish it off with a Megaguirus Swarm. Just to be a really annoying bug. Now, Megaguirus' fierce attacks use her tail. Ow. And you'll notice that every time a tail attack hits, I'm stealing energy. Oh, you do get the Sugar Rush back from energy power-ups. Good to know. So now that we're at full energy, let's show off Megaguirus' projectile. A weak energy blast that costs 10 energy cells. That is a lot for a relatively paltry explosive. So what gives? Well, as you may have noticed before, Megaguirus' primary grab was hinted at as being a mimic. Well, with 5 energy cells and a stolen energy and a stolen move, you can copy the opponent's projectile attack. And this can lead to beam fights, but it's one-time use. So you've got to keep stealing the ranged attacks. But for now, let's go back to tail attacks. The tail combo, that's supposed to be a low, but Orga's funky body kind of gives him low immunity. Back fierce knocks down. Sorry about that. Forward fierce, apparently this is making up for the Godzilla 2000 episode, is a partially reversing tail strike. And then up fierce is a big lunge that I don't think normally launches. Just keep that in mind. And if Orga was susceptible to low attacks, that triple could actually grant Megaguirus a low attack. Quickly, let's talk about throws before we proceed onwards. Give me. The square button throw is a health steal throw, and the circle button throw, or the fierce throw, is straight up just energy absorption. This steals energy without stealing the weapon, so you get more energy from the throw, but you don't get the energy, the weapon steal as a result. Oh, and if Megaguirus is facing backwards to the opponent, the fierce tail attack, especially in the Sugar Rush mode, is kind of ridiculous. Because every time the tail stroke downwards lands, you're getting a cell of energy. Also, that wake-up attack for Megaguirus is one of the best in the game due to both range and the fact that you can actually block cancel it. Because it chains into the forward corkscrew, the forward kick corkscrew. And that is going to do it for Megaguirus, although worth noting, if you use the special move input with both triggers while you're throwing opponents, you also get the weapon steal. It doesn't really matter, but it's just a cute gimmick. That should basically cover it for Megaguirus. There isn't anything else really to talk. Oh wait, there is one last thing. We got Chuck. Tail, tail, fist, tail, out. Tail, tail, kick. I think it's supposed to be the loop. But let's go again. Yeah, it's the loop. So you could go for the loop to mix up your opponents. And Megaguirus generally throws people backwards, so be mindful of that. Hey. That should just about do it. Just gotta finish this fight. Unfortunately, Orga's funky physique kind of prevents this from working as well as it should. There we go. That should give you an idea as to what the triple tail stab is like. That should do it for this episode. Next time we're going to take a look at Orga. Don't forget to be awesome, my friends, and I'll see you guys on the other side.